All right, we are now joined by our Busch Light pole winner for tomorrow's South Point 400, Tyler Reddick, driver the number 8 Alsco Uniforms Chevrolet, third Busch Light pole of 2022. And if you want to just open up talking about starting out front for tomorrow's race.
Refreshing, like Busch Light, right? It's awesome. I didn't really know it was going to be in the cards for us after how practice went. We didn't really fire off great. We had to make some pretty big adjustments on our car. And normally with this car, it's been pretty challenging to go from a 20th place car to where we ended qualifying at. So just great effort for our team. We worked really, really hard today, and that's what we're about. We just keep fighting.
We'll open up with Zach.
Zach Sterniolo with NASCAR.com. Tyler, earlier you said you were pretty stoic about, just thinking about practice, thinking about qualifying. It almost seemed like you weren't, like you had said that you were happy about the news for next year, but weren't really showing it. What's the emotion right now, knowing that you're starting on the front row for tomorrow's race?
Oh, for the race tomorrow, it's a big deal for us. But I'm really excited about next year. But there's still, a number of races left this year that I gotta, I'm gonna continue to remain focused on and do everything I can for my team to run well and do well. But certainly it is nice to know, like, hey, this is what the future is gonna hold. I'm gonna get to go over there earlier than I planned and just start working on those things that, that myself and a lot of the ownership over there talked about wanting to do and why we wanted to get together. So we just get another year earlier start on that, and that is very exciting for me. I'm excited about the opportunity, but I understand and know, and I'm excited in a weird way for all the things that we're gonna have in front of us. I'm in a weird way. It's always been really fun for me to really put a lot of work into something like I have at RCR and see how much has come out of it. And so I'm really excited to do that again and do that at 2311.
Sorry, mouthful. Tom Zaleski on County today. With the Tyler, with the distractions of your situation now settled, is it easier to help? Is it easier now to focus over these final 3 weeks?
It wasn't a distraction at all, honestly. So, yeah.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. You shared a little earlier about changing the setup from a 20th place car to now sitting on the pole. I don't know if you believe this or not, but there's certain things going on in the sky that are preventing the sun possibly in the next few hours. So if that ends up coming, what kind of adjustments do you have to make again if that comes again?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about rain?
Rain.
That word?
That word.
Well, we don't do anything till tomorrow, so it's fine. I don't know. I hate it for these guys that they might be stuck here a little bit later, but when it rains, it pours, it seems like. But I don't know. The only thing that's going to sting about that is I was really excited about going back to South Point and like hanging out at the pool, and if it rains, that's going to ruin that. So, yeah, I guess that'll affect my strategy for the rest of the day.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Same tires, Texas and Kansas. Certainly, we saw issues at Texas. I think a lot of it, or seemed to be, the discussion was about air pressures. The learnings from those experiences, how does that carry over, or what kind of an impact could tires play in that sense tomorrow?
I mean, it just depends on what happens. I mean, if what we're talking about, like, the thing no one wants to talk about in the sky, like if the track cools off a bunch and people aren't right on top of it on the air pressures, I think that's what made Texas so crazy, is when the track cooled off a lot, or as it was cooling off, the speeds picked up, the load in the tire picked up, especially in 3 and 4, and I think that's where people saw issues. So I think those are the situations where that could come into play. But certainly, people get more desperate trying to make their car better on the long run, all that sort of stuff. I think, the air pressure can play a role into that, I mean, I'm not a crew chief, but then there's other factors, just like what you bring as a setup to the car, in your car to the racetrack. Some of us, unfortunately, just depending on what we bring, if we guess wrong, we're in a bad spot. We're being really hard on the construction of the tire.
earlier in here, Chase Elliott was just saying, hey, when things go wrong, let it go, and you just got to move on to the next event. When you have success, whether it's like something like today or, winning a race here in the playoffs after you've been eliminated, obviously it's a great accomplishment. But is there a little bit of a pain because of what could have been, or how, as an athlete, do you not let that consume you?
At this moment, I don't. But certainly, if depending on how things go, if we say we win another race now that everyone's in the round of 8, and then we go out and outrun all the championship for at Phoenix, I guess then that's when you could be like, oh, dang, those 2 points. But up until then, I mean, there's so many different ways things could play out that at this moment, no. But if it does go that way, I mean, it stinks, but it shows, hey, we were right there. We just needed 1 or 2 things to just go a little bit differently. So at the end of the year, if it ends that way, that will sting. But in a way, it's a good problem to have, because it means we were right there.
Jonathan Field, the racing experts of ESPN Radio Albuquerque. We've heard from some drivers that the wider tire might be helping to rubber up the other lanes a little better this year on some of the intermediate tracks. Have you noticed that?
I don't know if it's got anything to do with the tire width. I think in our case here, with this car when it comes to laying tire rubber, it just seems like it's just temperature and track surface, like air temperature and track surface temperature, like dependent. We've been able to go to Martinsville like we did in the summer a couple months ago and lay all sorts of rubber, with the same tire that wouldn't lay any rubber when we raced there in the spring. So in today, just how it played out, for whatever reason, 1 and 2 in the shade was laying a lot more rubber than 3 and 4 in the sun. So it's just, I think in some weird ways, it's temperature dependent, more so than I guess the 1.5 miles. I feel like up the tracks that we go to, the 1.5 miles probably test the tires the most laterally, not even really accelerating. But so it could be a few of those things, but I think it's mostly track temperature.
Yeah, Adam Carabine from RacingRefresh.com. You earned your first Cup Series win earlier this year at Road America, and then you've since added another 2 wins this season. What's different this year than your last year at Cup, and what kind of momentum does that bring for you to 2311 next year?
We've just had a little bit more speed at more tracks this year, I think. And then in those situations, a couple of them like Road America and Indy, the races played out pretty naturally, and we're able to, navigate our way to win. Look at Texas, a little bit more chaotic for us. But in the years past, I think the first year we had a race or 2 with a car capable of that, and just as the race played out, we didn't run a complete race without any mistakes or not, give up the time, and that was the difference. And as we've now moved to this next-gen car, a lot of those same details remain, where you have to really execute all aspects of the race. We've just had a little bit faster car. We've been able to mix it up a little bit more in certain situations and get our way up there. So it's been probably, I think, consistency-wise, one of my worst years. But we've had, if we're running at the end of the race, we're in the top 10, or, we're in the garage or 5 laps down because something went wrong.
We're going to wrap up with Holly.
Thank you. I was just looking at some of the statistics, and only one time has the race been won by the pole sitter here. Do you feel like any convincing reason on why that might be different this year for you, the car, whatever it may be, and why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. I think the track changes a lot from practice to qualifying and then to race. Like the lane choice that you have and the decisions you make when the track is pretty green when we start practice is a lot different than it is in the race. So I think that, and just there's a lot of really smart teams and drivers out here that have raced here many times and know what adjustments to make to hit the certain aspects of this car. But for us, when we've started on the pole or we started towards the front in these 1.5 miles. We've had a lot of speed, and we just unfortunately had some things not go our way. But we were really safe on a lot of that stuff today, so I feel pretty good about it, kind of like we were at Texas. So we'll just see how it plays out, but hopefully we'll change that tomorrow. It'll be 2, not 1.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Good luck tomorrow.
All right, thanks guys. Stay dry, I hope.